Quiet now, quiet now, quiet now. Welcome back to KüberCAST. This is a show that explains how cyber works. And today on the show, we talk big, like in big data. Data, the oil of 21st century, is not black liquid, but it's invisible. It has no smell. It has no taste, but still it's everywhere. No. It's not esoteric. It's not. It's not ghosts. It's data, and it's everywhere. We create it non-stop, 24 hours a day. When we sleep, when we wake up, when we brush our teeth, we create data. So today, well, we focus on it, and we have a couple of guests here to talk about this. We have two people from TEHIK. We have Anto, and we have Alvar from TEHIK. Hello.
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 And we also have a special guest from Elastic. Hello, Marvin.
Hey, how are you doing? Hi, everyone.
Hello. So, as you can understand, Marvin is over Teams, and there might be some glitches throughout the show, but we will not let them disrupt us. We will get right back into it. So today we are looking answers for a couple of big questions. So the amount of data that we generate is just humongous. And it's too much for a human to go through, and well, it's too much for even to kind of dig out the security incidents from that data, from within that data. So we can try to dig through that, but ultimately it's a job for machine learning and for the AI to figure out what's important and what is not. So with these kind of topics in mind. We have a good interview coming up. So, under the assumption that all modern business and the kind of future business is digital business, then I would like TEHIK to talk a little bit around their digitalization journey. What does TEHIK do? What kind of services does TEHIK offer? To whom, and what do you guys do?
Yeah, sure. From TEHIK side, if someone doesn't know yet, TEHIK is the competence center for Ministry of Social Affairs. And healthcare and social security are two main business disciplines we are supporting at total 174 information and communication technology services.
How many was that?
174.
Yeah, that's a huge. That's kind of a number.
Maybe
yes.
Already one more.
Maybe even one more. So yes.
Yeah. So our system contains data about all Estonian citizens from their birth to end of their life and beyond.
And beyond this.
The data is usually related to personal details such as health information or family-related events. And maybe quite delicate. Mm-hmm. So overall, we love our e-services, and there is no going back. In TEHIK, we strive to deliver services that save your time. You can use your time for what really matters to you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So you own data. You have loads of data.
Yes.
How much data do you have? Well, I know it's a silly question.
It's not a silly question, but I wouldn't go into so much detail about how much data we have, since it's a kind of security podcast we're doing. So we can talk about log data we have as our department. And I think we're currently running about 15 to 20 terabytes of log data per month. So
all right.
It's quite a bit.
It's quite a bit. It's quite a bit to go through and through, right?
Yeah.
But obviously you're from the security end, and you kind of TEHIK has been always a digital organization, let's say, offering digital services. It has never been paper-based service, right?
Yeah, no.
So you haven't done kind of digital transformation in a sense that you moved from paper to digital. You actually started off being digital, right?
Yeah.
So So kind of digitalization and automation holds hidden threats. So what are the kind of less obvious threats that you see in the digital landscape?
Maybe over-reliance on technology and the increasing digital divide with older people and mental health issues that can bring to the older people, like being left behind in a digital world. And also maybe becoming the unforeseen corner case in a all digital, all automated world where imagine a doctor entering the wrong personal ID code and announcing the wrong person dead. So, and before you can even prove that you're are alive, all your document certificates are cancelled, your passports might be revoked, and your family is already dividing your inheritance.
Yes. So that's a really bad place to be. That's a really bad place to be. So your services are directly affecting people.
Yes, like Anto said, our services go even beyond death. So
Yes,
when
yes.
you are like announced dead by mistake, so it will take a lot to come back to life.
Yes. So I was just trying to ask that. Have you had a case where someone has been pronounced dead by mistake?
Luckily, no.
Okay, so and that would be a serious thing to do. But the age gap, of course, older people and people with less access with to internet, let's say, and then understanding that's also a problem. Yes.
Yeah, just yeah.
But yeah, you're running in a really restricted environment, and then privacy is really important. What kind of limitations does this put to your everyday?
It's actually a good question because the volume of data is increasing rapidly year by year. So and as said before, this information is quite delicate and yeah, I would say the most complex part is to store data in the long term and for example, healthcare data must be available and usable in some cases 100 years. So and as technology is in a fast development and the new generation of IT specialists are not familiar with old data management standards or protocols at all. So to keep old data usable and ensure its integrity and it's something we constantly need to bear in mind while working with our developments and also all kind of these restrictions and user access policies and so on.
So yes, this is also yes, this is a tricky question. So you mentioned that you have to kind of store the data in foreseeable 100 years, let's say. So that poses difficult problems in the normalization and standardization ways that you should be able to kind of go through that data in 100 years. So but we have also Marvin here. Marvin from Elastic. Can you share a little bit light around similar fields in other places than in Estonia?
Right, exactly. I mean, I was just listening to the description of TEHIK, and basically it sounds to me like they're on this digitalization journey. They're doing a digital transformation, which is amazing, right? And when we look at other parts of the world, I'm based out of Stockholm in Sweden. It's basically the same type of trend that we're seeing, that the health sector is getting more digital. People are doing things online. Now we know that health has got a lot of privacy concerns. There's a lot of data that's generated. It's a good thing and a bit of a scary thing at the same time, because obviously you want to cover the privacy in terms of that data that you're collecting about customers. But generally speaking, we're seeing this trend not just within the health sector, but basically across different sectors as well, right? Where organizations are beginning to rethink their workflows, they're beginning to rethink their processes as well. And most of that is focused on digital transformation. We've used computers for a long time. The internet has been around for decades. But I think we're now at that tipping point where we're saying, fine, these things have existed for a long time, but how can we even make that a streamlined digital experience, right? So where we create even more value based on how we're using a lot of these platforms, and the end result of that, of course, as you've already said on the show, is basically we're getting to this point where organizations like TEHIK and many other organizations out there, they are finding themselves to have to deal with and comprehend with a lot of data, right? And it presents a great opportunity. It's a challenge in terms of managing that big data, right? What you do with the data as well, how you manage that data, how you preserve that data, but also it's a very beautiful thing because it presents us with an opportunity to get interesting insights from that data. And from a cybersecurity point of view as well, it's cybersecurity challenges are increasing all the time. Threat vectors are increasing. Attackers are dynamic today. But it's getting to that point where if you have the data, you also stand in a very powerful position in terms of finding out if you've got attackers in your environment as well. So it's I'm more positive about the outlook than negative about it.
So coming forward towards our kind of show theme, which is cybersecurity. Then how do you really distinguish operative incidents from security incidents, and what's the difference? I think our listeners, I think this is kind of a really important point. What to kind of emphasize is that you have operative incidents and you have security incidents. So what's the difference, Alvar? Can you explain?
Well, as per our definition, any incident that impacts or has a high potential to impact availability, confidentiality, or integrity of your data is considered as a security incident. Only upon inspection and analysis we can say that this was because of an attack, this was because of an misconfiguration or operative incident. And in that matter, we have a really high expectation on observability and machine learning and AI as well to give us the faster insight into what's happening. And we've seen pretty good results in that regard.
Okay.
But yeah, for us, most of the incidents that already impacted, let's say, availability, it's also still considered as a security incident. We just subcategorize it.
So just to kind of boil it down, it's like when people run out and say it doesn't work, something doesn't work. So and the cause is not that someone broke it, or it's a kind of because someone broke it in a kind of malicious way. Then it's an operative incident, right?
Yeah.
But when there is a kind of attacker somewhere there, or something that kind of looks like a security incident, then it's considered as a security incident, right? So how do you measure the kind of possible incident impact?
Well,
what kind of modeling do you do, or?
We mostly have just a basic matrix, but the issue with the classical approach is that you can measure the impact pretty much like while the incident is happening or after it's already happened. So the goal here is to have a set of SLOs or service level objects. So if you describe the SLOs nicely per service, then you can say that if this happens again, it will impact our this and this SLAs, and we will breach those SLAs. So you can you can see into the future a little bit. So you had one incident maybe, And if another one happens, then your SLAs are breached, and that might impact you in a way, like in a monetary way, or just
So what's the worst thing that could happen?
Worst thing that could happen for us
Yes,
is probably the loss of the health data.
loss of health data.
Yeah.
So how do you kind of ensure your kind of TEHIK's security efforts align with the broader business objectives that TEHIK as an organization have?
So business goals are not usually directly related to security, but as per our organization, specific data, security data is one of top priorities. So indeed, IT security topics and processes shouldn't be in the front line, but also costs are often high and not always well measurable. And that has been the case for a long time. So, but anyway, I can see the paradigm changes in that aspect. So, automated data collection, machine readability, advanced data analytics, AI solutions are actually already boosting our organization in positive way.
But as in a broader picture, Marvin. So overall, you work with different companies around the globe. So how do you see? How do you see
Right.
that? Yeah.
Right. That's a very good question and interesting comments coming from TEHIK there. I think what we're seeing from a broader point of view with different organizations is they are trying to take that proactive approach to InfoSec. And I like the first question that you posed to the panel, where you said, how do you distinguish between operative incidents from security incidents, right? And I think it's just a good point to remind ourselves that security is there to protect something, right? And when we're talking from a digital point of view, IT systems, IT infrastructure, that's what we're protecting. But before you protect something, it has to be operational, right? It's quite unique what we're doing at Elastic because, again, Elastic is a data company. We collect data in environments like TEHIK and among other environments as well. So when we collect that data, what we want people to start looking at that data from a perspective of, can I observe, right, the systems from which this data is coming from, right? And that also helps to handle that operative incident aspect, right? We're talking faults, we're talking performance of those systems, but at the same time, we're also talking about protecting those systems as well, right? And in terms of measuring the impact of security incidents specifically, I think the impact is closely tied to business strategy and business objectives, right? In the case of TEHIK, their responsibility is to provide a service in the health sector for Estonian citizens, right? That is their service. So then how do you map security incidents to that objective that TEHIK has? And we're seeing this general trend where security for a long time has just been viewed as a technical problem. Some security engineer somewhere in the organization is the one that's monitoring alerts and the like. But I think it's really evolved where the security topic is actually becoming a part of business strategy. We're seeing a lot more of this in a lot of the organizations that we offer our services to. Security has become a top priority. Security people are now found in the boardroom discussing with other senior management, senior leaders in organizations, speaking about how can security be part of that business strategy, what's going to be the potential impact of cybersecurity incidents to organizations as well. And it's getting to that point where one of the questions you asked as well is, metrics centered around incident response, right? It's getting to a point where now we're measuring the impact from a business loss point of view. We're adding a bit of a dollar value to security incidents as well. So the trend is basically there's a huge amount of data that we're generating in our environments as a result of the digital transformation, right? And digital transformation is really driving businesses today and organizations today. security incidents are impacting that digital transformation, and it's getting to a point where we need now to really add that business value of, what are the security implications to the actual business itself. That trend, I think, is going to drive security conversations going forward.
So it just brings us back to the start of our show when we talked about that all future businesses are digital businesses. So also security finds its way to boards, to C-level, and kind of the understanding is rapidly growing that basic hygiene in digital is kind of a necessity. Wash your hands, brush your teeth, and these are the things to keep you in good health, right?
Yeah, actually, maybe I can add something from
Absolutely.
TEHIK side. So, yeah, in TEHIK, the IT security department holds relevant role, not only value field specific rules and restrictions, but one of our strengths is actually to see company-wide picture from both technological and business side. So anyway, sometimes our knowledge is uncomfortable to others,
Yeah.
but our mission is to just explain and explain it again, maybe from another perspective. So
Absolutely.
so and
again.
and again.
and actually TEHIK values lifelong learning and to support that in our IT security department, we are managing our own data security learning platform. So yeah, and this IT security exam must be taken and positively completed yearly without any exception. So all the workers, I hope, are quite well educated in that field. So.
So you are kind of working with the awareness internally overall all the time, and you feel comfortable bringing uncomfortable topics on the table, right?
Yeah, that's true. But sometimes it's difficult.
Yes, that sometimes can be really difficult. But digitalization is a multi-step process for every organization. So you cannot get to stage 3 without going through 1 and 2. So what is the stage 1 and 2, and what is the stage 3?
Yeah, I think digitalization, or it's I think it starts with, first of all, digitization. So historically, we've moved away from like analog systems to digital systems. And then we started the whole digitalization aspect of it, right? And digitalization is basically, yes, you've digitized things, so you're no longer doing the analog method, you're using the digital method, but then you redefine certain processes around it. And what we're seeing now is that digital transformation, right? Where it's just not adding innovation to it, but it's redesigning the whole workflow on how we're using digital platforms to really discover new possibilities with the technology that we have today, right? And I think when you talk about digital transformation in 2024, we're at a point where machine learning is no longer just a buzzword. Well, it is a buzzword, but it's just no longer a concept. It's no longer conceptual. It's a realistic capability that is coming into organizations. Last year there was a huge boom in terms of AI as well, right? So it's getting to a point where digitalization is becoming more about automation, right? We're talking big data. Now, like you said at the beginning of the show, the human being can only go so far in terms of how to interact with that data, in terms of getting the insights out of that data, right? And we're getting to that point where machine learning is going to be that third step of that digitalization journey, or I like to call it digital transformation, right? And I think going forward, that third step is going to challenge organizations like even TEHIK and many other organizations out there, including Elastic as well, in terms of how can we now apply machine learning? How can we bring AI into the entire conversation of that digital journey that as an organization we're going through as well, right? So I think that the first step is obviously to digitize, digitize, move on to digital platforms. And then once we move on digital platforms, it's now about optimizing how we're using those digital platforms, which is what digitalization is all about. Yeah. And then the digital transformation is after we optimize, we innovate around how we're using these platforms. And a good chunk of that is going to really focus on automation using machine learning and AI going forward.
So these are kind of buzzwords. Some of them have been a long time here. So maybe just to explain to our listeners here, machine learning. What is machine learning?
That's a very good question. Well, basically, I mean, machine learning has, like I said, it's existed for quite some time. Machine learning is, I like to think of it as a subset of artificial intelligence, right? Where the primary focus is basically on enabling machines to learn data, improve the performance, right, of how we're using that data, and then also to make decisions without really heavy programming on it. What do I mean by that? A very good example with machine learning is where we just want to understand anomalous behavior, right? What do I mean by that? Say, just a simple example, right? Like say, users of the TEHIK digital platforms, they usually use those platforms in a certain way, and it's very consistent over time. But what you want to do is if anyone behaves in a way that is not very similar to how they've behaved in the past, you want to be alerted on that. Right now, again, TEHIK is dealing with a lot of data. You don't want to be tracking the normal behavior of your users in a manual way. You really want to have a certain technology that helps you, that triggers an alarm if something goes either abnormally high or abnormally low in terms of its usual behavior. So that is machine learning, right? Mm-hmm. Artificial intelligence, though, it's focused on creating machines, computers, that are capable of mimicking human intelligence. So a good way to think about it is the chatbots that we usually encounter on many websites, right? A lot of these digital assistants that are common on different platforms. And of course, ChatGPT is the new assistant on the internet, right? So AI tries to mimic that human intelligence, right? Where can you interact with a computer in a way that you previously interacted with a human being, right? I know it sounds scary because then a lot of people get a bit skeptical. Are they going to lose their jobs because suddenly the computer is taking over their job? That's a whole topic on its own. But basically speaking, I mean, machine learning is there to make use of your data and then to automate the insights that you want to get out of your data, simply speaking. Then AI is basically that technology that makes machines, computers to try and mimic human intelligence.
So to just kind of boil it down, then machine learning has been around from the 18th century or so, and it comes in a form of mathematical statistics. So you would...
and what Marvin said, that you can like bring out the anomalies, and it's, one really simple but really effective machine learning example is log-rate spikes. You can just feed it to a machine learning job and you instantly get a result back that who or what was causing the spike in your logs, and we've used that a lot. Mm-hmm. And it's like gives you just really quick insight into what's happening.
So this is normal. This is something that we use every day.
Yeah. So you can't, like Marvin said, we can't call it a password anymore because it's like really in practice and producing valuable results and insight for us.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, actually, I have another example. So how to put together machine learning and AI. For example, we are using AI to discover patterns from different from our baseline. So, and we are using machine learning for that. And afterwards, we will get some hints, some machine learning anomaly scores. But actually, we don't know yet if these hints are false positives or something more. Then AI will be very handy in that point. We can feed these results to AI and then get a human readable answer. Yes, this is good. This is probably not good, and yeah, so on.
So this is something that is actually, it's kind of our message here is that it's not a buzzword, it's applicable and it's usable in every day now.
Exactly.
But there is a new word, there's a new kid on the block, or is it? And the new kid on the block is called vector search. What's that, Marvin?
Right. Another very good question. I mean, similar to machine learning, vector search has been around for a long time. So vector search is coming from the mathematics world or the statistics world, depending on who you're talking to, where you're looking at vectors, right? In the world of physics as well, you know, vectors, a certain amount a vector is associated with a magnitude, a value, and then also there's a certain level of direction associated with a vector. So vector search adopts a bit of those principalities from the world of physics and mathematics, in the sense that, again, I'll use TEHIK here. They described how much data they have in the environment. They collect a lot of data. Now, what TEHIK would want to do at some point is to begin to understand the relationships of each data point in their data set, right? And vector search basically just comes in, and I'm just trying to be as simple as I can be describing vector search, but basically it just comes in to help with understanding the closeness or the relationship between each data point, right? And the way Elastic has adopted vector search is we're saying bring your data into Elastic, and when we run our vector search algorithms, we'll help to discover those relationships in terms of those data points, right? And there's certain attributes that are associated with how we do this relationship mapping. But at the core of it, vector search basically just allows you to get those relationships in terms of the data points in your data sets. Now, where does that become relevant in different use cases, and not just in an Elastic instance, is vector search is powering a lot of what we call RAG, right? RAG is also another buzzword depending on who you're talking to in the machine learning world. But RAG is basically retrieval augmented generation. What do we mean by that? Obviously, TEHIK will want to get those insights from your data. It's a lot of data. You can use vector search, apply it on your data, and then harness and surface relevant results from this big data silo. Now, where things get interesting in this whole Gen AI conversation, you know, ChatGPT and OpenAI and all these Gen AIs that are coming out, is organizations like TEHIK can use their private data in the organization to apply vector search to it. Now, vector search is powerful because, again, it brings up those insights in terms of the relationships. So what the goal that we're aiming for is to retrieve that relevance from their data. And then you can use that as context, as an input into whatever Gen AI platform you might want to use, right? But in a nutshell, vector search basically just helps with relevance in terms of the results you get when you run queries on your data.
So can you kind of bring out a really simple use case so that we could understand? So several data points, several sources, let's say, are talking not related to topics. How does this kind of simple example?
Right. Yeah, I mean, that's a very good question. So a very simple example from a security standpoint is with vector search. I mean, a very good example is in the security space, right? So Elastic allows you to bring data into Elastic. One of the things we do in the security space is the running of detection rules, right? Detection rules can be machine learning centric types of rules, right? But then we run those machine learning jobs on the data that you store on Elastic. Now, there's use cases where you can run a certain detection rule on the data, and then using vector search and machine learning in the background, we do surface certain interesting relationships, right? A good classic example is I've got a certain sequence. Usually attackers, when they come into our environments, they'll start the attack by finding an attack vector. How do they get in? It could be a malicious email attachment. It could be some other phishing campaign. And then when they land on a certain machine in our organization, one of the things they try to do is discover more systems so they can do what we call lateral movement. Now, when you look at that process, right, it's a multi-step process. Vector search can come in and try to reveal some of these steps that an attacker took. That's a classic example of where we bring the data into Elastic, run this detection capability on that data, and using powerful capabilities such as vector search, including the machine learning that's embedded in it, we can harness some of these insights. What did an attacker do? Is there a relationship between certain steps that they took in the environment, and can we get those insights? That's a classic example within security, but there's many more examples, not just within security, but in the observability space and in the classic search space as well.
So now we are moving into a topic that's kind of arouses me a little bit, but I wanted to kind of talk it out. So AI-driven dashboards. What are AI-driven dashboards? And is this the future? Is this something that we are looking for?
Right. Yeah, sure. I think when you talk about AI in general, there's a lot of skepticism. Some people are scared. I've literally been at AI conferences where people are saying this is not good for human beings, this is not good for humankind. But I think there's more benefits to it. I see AI being mankind's best friend, if I can put it that way, right? And talking about AI-driven dashboards and the like, one of the things that we've started doing at Elastic is, like I mentioned earlier on, organizations like TEHIK, they bring their data into Elastic, right? First of all, we do run our own AI using vector search and other algorithms that help to surface relevant results in your private organizational data. But also, we can't ignore GenAI, the OpenAIs of this world, the bedrocks of this world. So what we've actually done is created connectors into these GenAI platforms, right? Now, the possibility that brings is TEHIK is able to retrieve insights from their organizational private data, right? Interesting insights that are relevant. Because again, when you look at how GenAI works, the accuracy of the responses you get or the insights you get from an AI platform is dependent on the quality of the prompt that you send into it, right? So we are trying to make sure that organizations create quality results so that can be a prompt input into the AI itself. Now, obviously, there's questions of privacy of what you send into the AI, anonymizing certain PII information in the data. When it comes to dashboarding, I think the major gain that we will see from the adoption of AI is basically that intelligence that ideally a human being would not have executed, right? What do I mean? Again, we're talking big data. And then we're talking all these capabilities where we're able to map different dots in our data, right? From a security standpoint, it's going to be easy now to understand the different relationships on the data from a security perspective, right? From a dashboarding perspective, from a reporting perspective, AI is able to give us insights that the human eye or the human mind could have not calculated by itself, right? And I see that going to be the trend going forward.
So, TEHIK, what do you think? You're going into office and then instead of watching the screen, you will put a VR and you will go through your data.
Yeah, we just today made the joke about when we are receiving our Apple VR goggles. So more dashboards.
Yes.
Yeah, we can watch Netflix and at the same time monitor our infrastructure. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Actually, what Marvin said, actually these dashboards can be very powerful, but I can see some trust issues behind of these dashboards. Quite oftenly, these software tools what are providing some machine learning or AI solutions are not transparent, and actually we can't be quite sure if information what we had from there is actually usable. So yeah.
Of course, because we cannot see to the machine. We have kind of limited vision into the decision making of the machine, but so that brings kind of trust issues
and possible wrong decisions.
Yeah. Absolutely, it's like a human being, right?
Exactly.
So yeah. Can you trust him?
Right.
Did he
And
make the
that's
right
that's a
choice?
very good point as well, because when you look at how AI or these LLM platforms are developed, the ones that are backing AI today, is there's a lot of concerns around there. And I think like I said, AI is becoming realistic, but I still think we've got a long way to go for us to get context in the AI platforms, for us to get that really realistic, unbiased, analytic on our data. The whole process of developing I mean, at some point, yes, AI models are trained on huge amounts of data, but it still requires a human being they literally go in the data center, sit and start talking to the model just to train it. Now, if Anto goes and sits in there and he's the one training this model to do the human validation, and the next day Marvin goes in there, Marvin is a different human being. Anto is a different human being. Ronnie is a different human being. So depending on who does that human validation, there's a bit of bias that goes into how these AI models are trained. There's a bit of, some people say there's a bit of discrimination in it. There's political bias and all these aspects, right? So I still think AI brings a lot of positive possibilities, but we still have a long way to go in terms of privacy concerns, bias, subjectiveness of these platforms. So there's just a very important need for us to validate the results that we are seeing in AI. And that's the reason why, again, I'll reiterate, Elastic has gotten on this path where we're saying, let's look at TEHIK's data, for example, on Elastic, or any other organization's data on Elastic. It's private data on an Elastic cluster. How can we get super, super relevant, accurate results in the private data, and then use that context to do the prompt engineering into the AI platforms so that the results do not bluff when we get those results from the AI platform, right? And of course, privacy is something that we handle, but I think the challenge is going to be more on organizations like TEHIK and other organizations, just to ensure that the prompt engineering is as accurate as we can be if we expect accurate results from these AI platforms.
So this discussion is really interesting. I would like to go on and on and on. No questions, but I think we have to sum it up at this point. So what kind of conclusions can we make from our discussion here? Well, one of the things that I concluded here is that machine learning is mature and is usable. There is road ahead. These are kind of my key takeaways. What are yours? I don't know, Anto, Alvar, Marvin.
Yeah, how to say? I guess a real challenge for organization is actually keeping up with all new threats and protection measures. So, yeah, from one side, data will open new gates and possibilities, but it comes with increased risk to be abused in a way you will not be aware at all.
New ways to be
at
abused.
this moment, yeah.
yes, that's true. What do you think, Alvar?
Yeah, we have a pretty good road ahead, and
Netflix goggles and kind of
swiping the dashboard.
Swiping the malicious actors
No, but
away.
one really big challenge will be probably making sure that we don't let the AI use or air quote see the data it's not supposed to see. Like just using the context and getting more info on the context you already found on your private data, not sending your private data to AI to analyze. It will be a challenge.
It will be a challenge. I totally understand that one. Marvin?
Sounds good. And I think, Alva, that's a very valid point that you raised right there in terms of, I think that's going to be the challenge going forward, right? How do you give AI your context without leaking too much of your data, right? So privacy concerns are going to be very important. And I think it's going to challenge organizations to think about their security policies, to think about data classification. What do you want to allow to be sent to AI platforms? What don't you want to allow? So there's aspects of anonymization, there's aspects of basically what is allowed and not allowed to be sent into these environments. And then also in terms of your question, Ronnie, in terms of how do we see the future of AI or machine learning, how does the future look like from an automation perspective? I think we are going to get into an era where it's going to be on autonomous intelligence. Right now, that could also be scary because right now we're still in that assisted intelligence phase where we just automated repetitive tasks. And then now we're doing that augmented intelligence where we're seeing that humans and machines are collaborating, right, with the advent of Gen AI. But I think the next phase in this whole machine learning and AI conversation is where we're going to see that autonomous intelligence, right, where there's a bit of an adaptive intelligence driven independent decision making by these AI platforms. Now that is scary, but that's also exciting at the same time. The beauty with AI again is it's built by human beings, it's influenced by human beings. So from a security or aliens or machines, robots taking over the world, I mean, we're building these systems, they're going to be super intelligent, but I still think the human being still has control over AI. So I see more of an autonomous intelligence system, but there's more positives than negatives.
And on this bombshell, thank you for coming into our show. It has been a great pleasure talking with you guys. I think that everyone will find this interesting. So if you found our show to be interesting, then you should like it and you should share it and you should listen to it and even send it to your grandmother to listen it. So this is what I would suggest to do. And thank you, and we'll be back in 2 weeks.
Okay, thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.